Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to the classroom with Architect Mark. And today, since we already talked about an introduction basically to the 3D environment within AutoCAD, we're going to talk about the importance of the coordinate system and why that should matter to you, especially if and when you try to do things in 3D on CAD. Now, uh, let's see. We'll prepare this timer here and then let's go to the classroom and the explanations will go in there. All right. So we have our 500 by 500 by 500 cube here to help us. And as you can see from the view cube that we're already on the, what's this? Top left view. Okay, so let's start the timer and talk about the coordinate system. So the coordinate system in AutoCAD 3D is very important, mainly because it allows you to position yourself to create uh, the patterns that you're going to have to push and pull, or in this case, extrude or sweep. And sometimes the very slight adjustments will have an effect on the final output that you want to do. Now, since this is CAD and there are better tools for 3D, the primary use of learning how to do 3D in CAD is to create your base models, and sometimes even more complicated Boolean models are much more easily created here. You Some of the better renders that I know of or have seen in the past actually come from very simple models from CAD, and you can do that with uh, building level geometry, especially if you're working on a meter type of unit assignment. And yeah, so the coordinate system is this thing here. Our cursor is showing us that green is Y, red is X, and Z is blue. Now, when I teach my students this, I uh, equate the coordinate system for easier understanding to your hand that forms something like a gun, your left hand, something like a gun with your middle finger uh, stretched out perpendicular to your pointing finger. So that's what it looks like. So this is your user coordinate system within CAD. And you can move this anywhere. For example, if I wanted to uh, draw on the surface of this, okay, I can position my coordinate system right over here at the extreme edge and then create drawings from there. Now, this concept transcends more than just CAD. So it talks about all of the 3D type programs or geometry generation programs out there. That includes uh, even a bit the more obscure ones that you're probably not familiar with, like Inventor, where they call it a different name, but it's basically the same thing. You move, they call it a construction plane and you move it around. So here in CAD, we call it our coordinate system. Now, there are a number of methods to uh, translate the actual coordinate system. One of them being, most of them being within the UCS commands. But since we're in a newer software environment, when you hover over your UCS icon here, this is called the UCS icon. You can right click on it and let me see if I can focus on this for you guys. Okay. Let's put it up here and then right click on this. So a little bit more. All right. So this is the flyout menu or context menu for the UCS icon. Now, it can be a world UCS, which basically goes into the original or the origin of the drawing, and it's set to that right now. If you go UCS previous, that goes to whatever UCS setting you had prior, and then named ones if you needed to create these, because you can. Uh, uh, for example, you need a very specific angle and you constantly use that, you can name a UCS after that angle and then use that. And then these ones are we're basically going to translate the UCS by identifying these markers. So first is the origin type of the translation. With this, you choose one point, and that point becomes the new origin. You can see that there's a visual feedback here that shows you what the UCS would look like when you choose, for example, this origin. UCS will be X here, Y at the front, Y at the top, and then Z going out towards the green line over there. So if we do that, you can see that the origin has changed, but it still is X here, Y here, and Z here. So it didn't really move according to what we wanted because we just identified the origin, and we want the computer to think about what we had actually intended, but it's not happening, so we don't want that. So let's translate this into what we really want, which is we'll make the front face of this cube our UCS. So we'll use the 3-point UCS translation here. So you first identify the origin, okay, and then you identify the x-axis positive. So we do that here, and then y-axis positive, we assign this, and there you have it. We used 3 points to identify our new origin, the x and the y. So this I found is the most is the best way of doing this. Now we're just moving the UCS temporarily. That's why it's called the user coordinate system. There's also the world coordinate system, which is always inside of the file, and you can always revert to that by going to UCS and then doing another spacebar to commit that command, and it returns to world. So right now we can use UCS previous to go back to the 3-point origin UCS that we did. Now, what happens when you move or you basically shift the coordinate system like this? Well, when you try to draw a circle, it now respects that, and you're basically drawing on this plane. So, for example, you wanted to draw a circle on the plane that traverses this cube. So let's do that with another 3-point origin translation. So we will how to do that manually, and by that I mean not clicking on the UCS. It's by doing UCS 3. So now we identify the origin, positive X and then positive Y. And then you can see that the origin or the UCS has now shifted to a 45-degree plane of, let's just call it a paper. And if we create things here, we can be 100% sure that it's traversing this this plane. Okay, so we move the plane. So when we draw on this plane, it's all of the position, all positions of our entities will be respecting this plane. I hope that makes sense. It should. We're just showing you how to manipulate this. So once again, we return to UCS world. And so when you look at our drawing, right now we have like a hoop going through our cube, and then a circle that is aligned to the front of our cube. So let's check that out by holding on the view cube and then moving around. So this is one way of seeing in 3D or orienting ourselves here in the 3D mode of CAD. So as you can see, that's what happened there. And right now we don't have a perspective active, so this is all parallel view. And some of you might not appreciate that. So what you want to do, if you want to see it in perspective, is you just command orbit and then right click on it, and you will have here a perspective view, which will now show you a better, more familiar look to our drawing. So that's it for now. So we covered the UCS, some of it, and then viewing this using the orbit command. So there's more to 3D here, and we will get through it one at a time because this is a more it's harder to digest than the 2D AutoCAD. Okay, so I hope you guys keep safe, and I'll see you again next time. Take care, guys.